Hey, y'all. It's Jim here, one of the men that yells at the clouds. And I'm here with Patrick.
Yay! It's old man, yell at cloud with your boys, Jim, Patrick, and
Christopher. Yeah, your beard getting a little scratchy, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shave soon.
Yeah, I need to shave. I
that's pretty
pull
good.
mine out.
But for those ASMR freaks out there, you can just loop that.
Yeah, they're just loving that
That's
right now.
That's one on us.
And we're going to be doing, I'm so fucking excited.
Rightfully so.
We're going to be doing In Absentia by Porcupine Tree, 2002. And today, my guest is an old friend of mine, Mr. Nate Heroux.
Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I mean, we kind of grew up on this album together.
A little bit.
This
This is how both of us were introduced to this band, so kind of matters.
Yeah, this album would like pin a couple dollars and like a list to your shirt as it sent you boys off to the store.
Yeah, for sure.
very responsible. You guys were both born in 2002.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yeah, both born in 2002 and raised by this
Literally
album.
on the day, September 24th, 2002, we were both born.
And then In Absentia sent you out to get milk and butter and stuff.
Yes, as a newborn child.
Yes, that's how it works.
And cigarettes. You could totally do that back
As long as
then.
you had a note.
No. In Absentia went out for cigarettes later, a few years later, and then never returned.
Oh, you might say he was in absentia.
This story got weird fast, didn't it?
Oh, it gets very weird on this show.
Yeah. When it gets weirder, you'll know.
Fair enough. Appreciate the warning.
Just sort of relax your brain and
Just
know,
let it
whatever.
happen.
Just let it happen.
All right. In Absentia is the seventh studio album by British progressive rock band Porcupine Tree, first released on the 24th of September, 2002. The album marks several changes for the band, with it being the first with the new drummer Gavin Harrison, and the first to move into a more heavy metal and progressive metal direction, contrary to past albums
Both good decisions.
that were psychedelic and pop rock sounds. Additionally, it was their first release on major record label Lava Records. It was very well received critically and commercially, with it often being considered the band's crowning achievement and selling over triple what any of the band's prior albums had in the past.
I think the album immediately preceding did pretty well for them, too.
Yeah,
It was just
Deadwing did really well.
exponential growth.
Yeah.
Well, Deadwing's after, right?
Yeah, Deadwing's right after.
Yeah. What album came before this?
Oh,
was that Lightbulb Sun?
I think it was Lightbulb
Yeah,
Sun.
Lightbulb Sun did well.
Or it might have been
relatively speaking,
Signify, actually.
but possibly.
Signify was 1999, I think. That one was a little more... no, it was Lightbulb Sun. Lightbulb Sun was 2000,
2000,
and then
okay.
I think Signify was the year before that. But yeah, they kind of definitely got a little more accessible for people, I think, because he was doing some weird shit. I know a lot of his influence kind of stemmed from 60s kind of psychedelic rock and
Can see that.
Pink Floyd, and then I guess he met the dudes over in Sweden, Meshuggah and Opeth, and kind of took a little more of a...
Except that he
progressive
read
metal,
Lords of Chaos and started getting into Burzum.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear Dark Side all over this. Especially, he's doing that vocal harmony throughout that
Quite a bit of
Waters
that.
and Gilmore do throughout Dark Side.
Yeah. And you can definitely hear some Gilmore guitar influence in there as well.
Yeah, although
Some of his
he's
lead parts.
he's technically a better player than Gilmore, and he's doing some more interesting things. Gilmore's a little bit more lyrical, whereas Stefan Wilson is doing some more like flourishes and is doing some more interesting things.
Oh, good old Steffi Dubs.
Yeah,
I'm imagining him as like. Do you remember in Family Matters when Steve Urkel drank the potion and became Stefan Urkel, like the cool version of him? I'm just kind of picturing Steven Wilson did the same.
I think I've blocked that out of my memory, so that's probably for the best, though.
I always thought
Well-
Urkel was cool.
Congratulations on having it back.
Appreciate it.
For the record, while we're on air here, I just want to give a shout out and an apology to Mr. Steven Wilson. I'm sorry I touched you that time.
I think you cursed everything by doing that.
Yeah, well, Christopher had made a comment about I touched him.
I have a
and-
theory, that you are the sole inspiration for the concept album "Hand Cannot Erase."
Yeah, it could be.
It's all about him dealing.
My hand cannot
and
be
moving
erased
on.
from touching him.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's
Bad touch.
the most upsetting part was that I have a physical photograph, because we had those back in those days, of my arm around Steven Wilson, and he is just so upset.
Deer in the headlights, look on his face.
Visibly upset that I am touching him. And to make matters worse, to punish myself, what I did was I took that photograph and I went down to the store and I had just his face blown up to a 4x4 poster size, and I put it on my bedroom wall so he could stare at me in disgust for the rest of my life. And then I've just never been able to live it down.
Does that make it easier for you to finish?
I haven't since.
Oh, okay.
Never again.
Okay.
Yeah.
You haven't been able to come
No.
since. Wow.
Yeah.
How
Worthy
long ago was that?
punishment for your actions.
Well, I was trying to prevent this from getting blue, Patrick. Why don't we try to use some more innuendo?
All right, sure.
So
Nothing wrong with a
just
direct approach.
So your vas deferens were really, really quivering.
Quivering. Like a wet spaghetti flapping around in the wind.
just like it.
That's how it works.
You know that image that we all know so well of a wet spaghetti in the wind?
And the sound it makes. Just such an unsettling sound.
Oh, nice.
Was it?
No, it wasn't. All right, let's do the thing. You know what? I don't think I've ever started with Christopher on my pick. I'm gonna start with Christopher today.
Ooh.
Okay.
I get to go first?
You do. What's your favorite song?
So, this is going to be really difficult for me, and I was kind of banking on someone else going before me so I could not pick something they did. The last side of this album was a fucking 9, solid 9 in my book. Like, fucking every second of it was really fucking good. Wasn't like something that I'd say is like my favorite album of all time. But this is the first time I listened to it, and the last side of this is fucking bulletproof.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with Heart Attack and a Lay-By.
All right.
There's a whole lot going on there that I really like. Vocal harmonies are fucking awesome. There's a lot of great textures going on. It's super interesting to listen to. And I think I mentioned earlier that this kind of got me thinking of like British shit in general, because what the fuck is a lay-by?
Had to look that up.
It's like a rest area, right?
Is
More
it
or less.
Or like a breakdown lane.
I think that's that. I'm assuming that's what it is, but
Okay.
it'd be worth looking up.
It's obviously some British shit.
Yeah.
So
To put it in the most PC way possible, of course.
Yes, yeah,
British
yeah.
shit.
Email your
British
buddy from over the pond there and see what he has to say.
Fabrizio? Yeah, he'd probably respond in some fucking Cockney shit I wouldn't understand. Oi, it's got fucking and like Gallagher. Like I won't understand any of it. But anyway, that got me thinking to something I saw earlier today, that there is a 3,100-mile race around a New York block.
What?
Yeah, 3,100-mile race around a New York block. And I read about this on the BBC earlier today.
How long does that take?
52 days. And you have 18 hours per day that you can run.
It's a long time.
Yeah, so it's a long run and everything. But as I said, I read about it on the BBC, and what really just fucking made
It really
my day.
chapped Christopher's ass.
No,
sorry.
No, this is really good. To give you an idea of how far of a distance that is, the helpful folks at the BBC, they have you covered. It is roughly the equivalent of running from Land's End to John O'Groats and back twice.
What?
It is roughly the equivalent of
course.
running from Land's End to John O'Groats and back twice.
Oh yeah, back and forth, because you gotta go back for more oats later.
Groats.
Yeah,
And that's O'Groats.
What is it, groat? Is it a
gotta-
gross
No,
oat?
no,
You
no,
gotta
no, no.
grow
It's
back
John.
for more oats.
It's possessive. It's John. That's the first name.
Yeah.
O'Groats. That's the last name.
Oh,
Possessive.
okay.
So it's O'Groat would be his name.
Right.
So it's
John
basically
of
from
the
like
Groats.
it's one bar to another.
That sounds like it's some woman talking about this guy John, and she was like, "Oh, John, ew, gross," and she meant to say gross, but then went, "Ooh, oats."
No.
Yeah,
No.
I suppose.
land.
Who is she? A
Oi,
horse?
John, he gave me O'Groats.
Ah, gout.
Who's that excited for oats? Is she a horse?
Maybe.
British
Okay,
people are different
I'm
than
not
us.
judging.
Some of them
I'm
are
not
horses.
judging. All right, I'm not judging.
Okay.
It's fine. They can do what they want. They can be horse people.
Heart attack and away by.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Pretty
gonna
chords.
Who's going to go next? It's either going to be Nate or Patrick. I think you guys should wrestle to the death to find out.
Nate can go.
Okay. That works for me.
He looks bigger than me.
All right. So top pick.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like this is how you and I got started on this band. So this is
This is going to be very fucking difficult.
I've spent quite a lot of time listening. This is actually not difficult because I've always had very high opinions of this album, but one particular song, which is always going to be track 8.3. I do absolutely adore that song. Very ambient. Love the ostinato, the bass ostinato that runs almost from front to back on that track. The, of course, reverse piano that I know you were also a very big fan of. And just
if I had jizzed in the last 20 years, that's what would have made me do it.
Fair enough.
But just a little puff of dust came out and said,
No, it was just the fair enough response.
Quick and to the point. But as far, one of the things I have always loved about this band and things that they do, and this is where I kind of, now that I know more about their earlier stuff, the shades that I get from Lightbulb Sun in particular with Last Chance to Evacuate Planet Earth before it is recycled. Well, I love songs that have such long names like that. Yeah. Just the mood whiplash you get, where it's kind of just a cool ambient song, just kind of the over and over again, a little bit droning in ways, but it's just the lyrics are just the same thing repeated 4 times, and the lyrics in that song are "Black the sky, weapons fly, lay them waste for your race." That's fucking great.
I wonder if it's tied into Evacuate the Earth, because I think the tapes from Evacuate Planet Earth, I think they're Jim Jones.
Heaven's Gate.
Is it Heaven's Gate?
That Suicide Cult.
Right.
That's exactly what that is. It's literally the tapes of him. Like, what was that? I think the last quote that comes out of that is 2 days before they all offed themselves.
Yeah.
And again, that's another song that starts out as like this almost like childhood romance thing going on, and then holy shit, it goes to that nonsense. Again, I love that mood whiplash. It's the same thing with .3. Absolutely adore that. Absolutely #1 pick on this album for me.
All right, excellent.
Being in a cult, it's a roller coaster, man.
Yeah. What's your favorite Suicide Cult, Jim? If you had to pick.
I loved the last podcast episodes about Jonestown.
Oh yeah,
I thought they were fucking fascinating.
With Jim Jones's little monkey named Mr. Muggs and everything.
Yes.
Oh, that's where Mr. Muggs came from.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I had never finished that series.
It was disturbing and great.
I can imagine.
Jim, what's your favorite song?
My favorite song, and you know what? As Nate said, we've been kind of listening to this. We grew up with this. And I think my favorite song has changed several times. I think I've loved every song on this album at some point. But listening to it tonight, I'm going to go with Strip the Soul.
That is a great choice.
It is dark as fuck, and it slams, and it's got these creepy fucking lyrics.
Raise the kids good, beat the kids good, then tie them up.
Those fucking abrasive, clean guitar parts are very reminiscent of The Fragile.
Yeah.
I fucking love those parts.
It's funny that you brought that up, because I was listening to it, and I was thinking, I was like, I could totally hear Trent Reznor singing over this.
Yeah, I get shades of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was fucking cool.
Gets a little sludgy at the end, but
and the fucking textures are great, and that guitar reverb at the very beginning is really fucking cool when it first comes in.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, I think most of this record is kind of loosely based around serial killer.
Concept album for sure.
Patrick.
Guess what? My favorite track was Strip the Soul, too.
Oh, we're buddies.
Yeah, we're Porcupine buddies tonight.
Yeah.
FFL.
We're Porkie Pals. So I actually had trouble kind of picking out a favorite track, but like I said, I listened to this album for the very first time on the ride down here. And actually, it's my first time listening to a Porcupine Tree album in general, which is
unbelievable.
Pretty good first start.
Because Patrick and I and Nate are pretty big prog heads, so...
Yeah, and I think we kind of went over on the last episode where I kind of gravitated more towards the old school stuff. But it was. I definitely liked it a lot more on the second listen.
Yeah.
And I was kind of the first time around. I remember really liking Wedding Nails, but This time around, I definitely noticed a lot more in Strip the Soul. That kind of has this like funk meets Radiohead groove that goes on, where like Wilson's just got like a little more tood, I guess.
Yeah.
Like he's got a little more like swagger and disconnect to his voice and his delivery, and it just kind of like, it just gives it like an overall like kind of more dangerous feel, I guess, than some of the other songs do. And yeah, there's just like a lot of shit that happens, a lot of great rhythms and riffs, and takes a lot of turns and does all the things. It's probably like the most that the one that reminded me the most of King Crimson.
For sure. Yeah, you definitely get that kingy vibe going.
Just like those kind of like angular tritone riffs and shit like that. Yeah, it's a good track. Good track.
Wedding Nails is a good one too, though.
Yeah,
it drones a bit. It kind of overstays its welcome in a couple of parts, but God, rhythmically that song is brilliant. That thumps like you wouldn't believe.
That's the one I thought was the most
That is
Crimson-y.
probably the best example of how Harrison and Edwin pair up, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, for sure.
but there's like a
Phenomenal.
music concrete section that happens in the middle too. Concrete. Sorry,
Yeah.
musique concrete.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna try to be arty-farty and use terms like that, at least say it correctly.
Fun fact, that is Steven Wilson's favorite song to play live. Wedding
Strip the
Nails.
Soul?
No,
Oh, Wedding Nails?
That's fair. And that is a fun one to play. What bits of it I can play.
I loved my wedding nails when I got them. They were incredible when we got them in the mail.
Is that a pre-wedding thing or a post-wedding thing?
Oh no, it's a post-wedding thing.
Yeah, you have to be married for a little while before they send them to you.
Yeah.
But it's great. Like, you wouldn't think that just receiving an envelope of a stranger's fingernails would mean that much to you, but it's wonderful. You open the envelope, they all fall out, and you think you might have lost one, and
Is there a note in there too? Or?
No,
it's just
oh no.
Creepy as this is, it's very
No,
fitting
there's no
for the
note.
album we just listened to.
But the envelope that they send it in is absolutely gorgeous. Nice, like embossed gold. It's beautiful.
It's like nothing you've ever seen. Were there
Yeah.
any teeth in yours? I've
I
heard stories of
couldn't
some
really
people
tell.
getting teeth in theirs.
I couldn't really tell if it was a tooth. It was a bit kind of hard to discern. But definitely like at least 5 or 6 fingernails, maybe a toenail too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of teeth, my mother, while we were listening to this album, sent me a picture of my baby teeth that I guess she kept.
Exciting.
Well, that's always good when your mother holds on to a former
mean,
body part.
It would be so good if it was like a little Dixie cup that was just filled with like you and your brother's teeth, and she's like, "Yeah, your baby teeth are in here somewhere."
I just think they're neat.
Yeah.
What were everybody's thoughts on the opening track, Blackest Eyes?
So I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
I got stuff. I got stuff in the can. For
I'll
that.
say, going on to, like, you were talking about how it was better the second listen around. I feel that way too, because I feel like when I first got this album and I showed it to you, all we did was play Blackest Eyes on repeat and didn't bother listening to the rest of the album.
I mean, it's a hell of an opener,
Yeah.
It's a good opener. Yeah.
But,
but
all right,
there's a lot more to take in.
Christopher Lee's favorite song.
My least favorite was The Creator Has a Master Tape.
Used to be my least favorite.
My only note for it was Mr. Bungle Light.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's only because the vocals brought it up a notch. Otherwise, it would have been Corn Light. Honestly, I
Corn Light.
Yeah, there was not a lot going on there that I enjoyed, and it was I think it was just a significant step down from the rest of the album. If that was cut, honestly, I think I would have liked the album a bit better.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That one took me a long time to kind of get into. I think what really put that one over the tipping point for me and made me like it was when I actually listened like all the way through a few times, and that whole end section with the kind of tremolo guitar rhythm thing, and then that sick fucking fill that Gavin Harrison does to go back in towards the outro.
That fill is quality.
Yeah, I mean it's got its moments, but a couple MVP moments on a song isn't enough to make me actually like it.
No, I understand.
Like normally I'm diplomatic with these things, and I'll say like, I didn't dislike anything on it, but this time I gotta call a spade a spade. I disliked one track on this, and that was it.
All right.
You got to pick something to come in last, right?
The title kind of pissed me off. Dude. Like, I don't know, just because it's Steven Wilson, it's like a prog rock guy. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like the typical like just like full of himself nonsense. I mean, I don't know if the guy's full of himself. But
He
like,
probably is. I mean, he's still
Wouldn't
pissed at
surprise
me.
me.
He is. He won't let Jim touch him.
Yeah. All I wanted was a hug.
let the boy touch you, okay, Steven?
Listen, you became a rock star, and now you're going to deal with these gross prog boys trying to give you a hug.
Yeah. Sorry.
Nathan, least favorite song.
I'm with him. Creator has master tape. Not a big fan of that one. It's there's a lot of tension in that one. It's again rhythmically it's interesting. I do love when you get into the breakdown where you get that tremolo effect on the rhythm guitar in the background. That is a really cool effect, and that is where the song starts to get good. To me, it is an outlier. It doesn't fit in quite the same way with the rest of it. Like in the same way that like Heart Attack and a Lay-By would be an outlier were it not for Collapse the Light into the Earth at the end. Like those kind of end up fitting together from a tonal standpoint. But yeah, for me, Creator with a Mat has
You know
a
what?
It doesn't work for me.
I wonder if we were to swap that song out with Drown With Me, if it would work.
Probably.
Yeah, I wonder why they pulled, I mean, other than the fact that the album's fucking an hour and 8 minutes long, I wonder why they pulled that track out. Because it does fit well into this album.
It does, and that's a phenomenal track. But yeah, that's my pick on the bottom.
All right. My least favorite track is going to be...
I'm interested to hear this.
Yeah, I'm interested because I'm...
Been racking your brain, haven't you?
I'm going to go with Lips of Ashes. I kind of forget this one exists a lot of the time, and it's strictly that. It's just a least favorite. I fucking love the shit out of this album.
That was one of the more dark sidey ones for me.
Yeah.
Where like it's like you could have put the vocals from Breathe on top of this chord progression.
Yeah,
It probably
for
would have
sure.
worked.
I love the legato solo on that one, though. It's just the way that flows is a thing of beauty as far as I'm concerned. That one actually ranks pretty high for me personally, but to each their own for sure.
I'm trying to remember what it's... I'm like, look, because I didn't take any notes, and I'm just looking at the name. I'm like, Jesus, how does that one even go?
I'm looking at my fucking chicken scroll over here, and I looked at it quickly and thought it said Lips of Asses.
A little different.
Yeah.
That's the B-side.
No, that's the contents of hot dogs.
Lips of
and asses. But cheeks.
Patrick, least favorite.
Trains.
Trying sad and much spite under the blind.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
What is wrong with you? I know I'm new here, but I'm going to chime in on that.
That had both
Let's hear
Crimson
it.
Mellotron and Crimson hand claps.
Yeah, I don't
Clapping
know.
party. Who doesn't love the
Was
clapping
Robert
party
Fripp
section?
on that fucking track?
Let's hear this.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was some good stuff happening. It was the least favorite for sure. I didn't hate the song. I didn't really hate any of the songs. I even kind of liked the fucking Creator Has a Master Tape song.
Even though it pissed you off?
The title pissed me off, but I think it was this record's hooker with a penis. I think.
Oh, for sure.
But I think for some reason, Trains, the feeling didn't change from the first listen to the second listen. I just felt like it was a little safe at times. Something about like the vocal choices just felt like, I don't know, like dare I say wimpy? I don't know. Like it just wasn't like bringing
60-ton angel falls to the earth doesn't sound very wimpy to me. But
I don't know. Like I don't listen to I don't listen really to the lyrics
that's
right
fair.
away.
Might be a
so,
couple
like,
of listens before you
Yeah.
actually get to that
Yeah.
point.
That's-
And I think, like,
it's
with-
it's folky
yeah.
at times. There's that whole interlude that like I think you've given the example
Yeah.
where if you show the band to somebody, like when they get to that part, how do they react? They're like, oh, what's this? Never mind. You're not gonna like this band.
Yeah.
Well, the banjo part I actually thought was pretty cool. I thought that was like a nice change. It changes meter, goes to the 3/4, and it actually is like a nice progression. Yeah, I think it's just the one that I'm gonna need to go back and listen to like really get get the most out of it, I guess.
That's one that's up there for me. But
Yeah, that's crazy because that's usually the song that everyone... I think that was one of the... if there's a single on this
quote unquote, yeah.
album, I think that was considered the single. That
I
or
mean-
Blackest Eyes got some radio play, though.
Some, yeah. I would still say that Trains is arguably the more accessible of the two.
Yeah.
Right.
If you cut that bridge out, it is very accessible.
I would say the whole first side of this is very accessible in general.
I think I'm with you in that the second half was a bit more of an enjoyable listen for me.
Oh, it's not the second half. It's the last side.
Or last side,
specifically.
rather.
Yeah, because
Those last 3 tracks.
Yeah, because that Nightmare creator has a master tape was before it. So.
Okay, sorry. How dare I?
I'm gonna comment on The Sound of Music. That's a song that I used to really love, but it probably would be my second least favorite now. I think.
Really, that's actually surprising.
Just because of the lyric content, I feel like it was a little bit cheesy.
It is a little bit. I mean, it's the typical, up your own butt musician. Like, I'm artistic and shaking my fist at the music industry. You do get shades of that. It's very contemporary.
Like
with,
how Maynard once stopped
music
talking
comes
about
in
cell phones.
Yeah, like music comes in silver pills and all that stuff.
Didn't
And I'm with you on that for sure. I love the juxtaposition of the guitar solo in that song compared to Lips of Ashes. Lips of Ashes being more legato, continuously flowing, whereas Sound of Music is much more staccato. There's much more room to breathe. That's very David Gilmour. In that sense, because he really likes to allow
The
that
choruses
breath space.
the choruses in that song were like, I don't know, they were cool. I like the melody in them.
Yeah. No, I love musically. That song whips the llama's ass.
Yeah, musically it's very good.
Winamp.
Yeah. MVP Christopher.
So for me, I am going to go with. There's a section in Gravity Eyelids where towards the beginning it's got that different texture with like the loops and shit going and all like the different sort of like textures happening. It's a pretty good change of pace after the first 4 songs. That leading into when the bass and real drums actually kick in with the guitar supporting the synth.
Touching your skin, slipping hands down past your waist to fall.
That little lead up and transition was probably my favorite part. Just it was really showcasing how mighty this rhythm section is.
Yeah.
And I think that
it's
they're
mighty, all right.
Yeah, and I think that they're probably getting a little overshadowed by like the Steven Wilson cult of personality type thing.
Yeah. That's a great one. Mellotron all over this fucking album.
Yeah.
I love it. That song. I love when it goes into the staccato, the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that was
Palm
cool.
muting.
And also the song title is Gravity Eyelids, and I can't see that without thinking of Gravity Falls, and that leads me to thinking of Dipper.
Let's not talk about Dipper.
Never want to think about again.
Nathan,
I'm gonna throw
MVP
up.
moment.
If I had, I mean, I'll always love that the part of Strip the Soul where it goes into 5/4 only because I'm a sucker for 5/4. But there is something to be said for the massive build-up, basically from start to finish with Collapse the Light into Earth. I have learned to appreciate that immensely as the years have gone by, and the way everything just swells at the end with all the strings layering on there, that little bit of guitar that you get in the end that then starts to trail off.
Yeah.
That is a thing of beauty, genuinely.
It's a great use of not a lot of ingredients.
For sure.
So you've got a really simple chord progression, a really simple melody, and then you can do a lot with that just by
And that
adding...
little bit of tension you get with it, having that one extra meter in there, because it really is 5
yeah,
on
that
that.
is
So it
really
does
cool.
it does offset it just a little bit. Again, I'm a sucker for that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way it layers, the way it builds, the way it caps off, which is otherwise a very, very dark album. And there's still a dark aspect to it. Just, I mean, look at the title of the song for sure. But yeah, it's a great way to cap off the album for sure.
That was my second pick for favorite.
I always say that. So 2 things with this song. If I die and the rest of the world, I'll get to this. But if the rest of the world doesn't explode at the same time, I want this played at my funeral.
Okay.
2, I want this song played on the loudspeakers across whatever area that the nuclear weapon hits the Earth. And as the mushroom cloud is going into the air and the blast is coming towards me, I want that song blasting as well.
So sort of like visually, it would look like that scene from Terminator 2 when
Yes.
Hamilton's holding onto the chain link fence.
Correct, yes.
But you want this in the background.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a scene back in the day.
Sure was. It still is today. Holds the hell up.
That is a great fucking movie.
Yeah, it
I have
is.
not seen that in a very long time. I need to rewatch it someday.
Oh yeah, no, those special effects. It's the first, in my opinion, it's the first modern movie.
T2.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, great fucking movie. I'm not even a big action movie guy, but I love that one.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big movie person
solid.
in general, but
It's
I've
it's
seen
one of
it.
those
actually.
rare occasions where the sequel's better than the original.
Yeah.
There's a few of those here and there.
My Funeral motion picture soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Noted.
Right. My Funeral, Black Cow.
Not Dunkin' Donuts?
No, I'm going to pick my own song.
Why
That's
not?
Easy. That's corny. Who would do that?
Steven Wilson.
I'm not Steven Wilson, I guess.
I mean, you kind of look like him in my drawing.
Oh,
here.
Jesus.
Quality
It's
artwork
becoming.
there.
My MVP moment is going to be in Strip the Soul, the fucking slam at the end, where you can kind of hear like the little bit of chatter going in the background, and it just fucking slams in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Slam.
All right, Patrick.
Sludgy.
What are they saying? What's the chatter?
It's like
It's a good one, ain't it? Probably something
he's
British.
saying something. Yeah, I think it's something British, and he's like,
Alright,
"Oh, what do you
guys."
mean?" He's like having a phone call. He's like, "What do you mean you're too busy? Come down. I'll buy you a drink of it." And then it like slams. Into it.
My MVP moment, it's going to be the sort of like chunky, like Bon Jovi-esque riff that happens in the bridge of Prodigal.
Close your eyes and let the thought. Close your eyes and let it
Okay.
You kind of know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know. It's, I loved it the first time I heard it, and I certainly loved it the second time I heard it.
It's not a bad track.
It's a great track, and it's definitely one of the more accessible ones. And that riff is like total fucking like 80s cock rock, but it's very tastefully done and mixed, and it rustled my jimmies each time.
I'm not rustled at all.
I do
my other
appreciate the
Jimmy.
use of a slide in that one as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a cool riff
not
at
a
the
bad
beginning.
touch.
Yeah,
that was some Gilmore slide right
Little
there.
bit.
That one, I always try to like. I never really listened to the lyrics while growing up with this in as much detail as I should have. I mean, I knew like a lot of the main ones, like Sound of Music. You can kind of pick out all the lyrics there, but like this one, I was trying to figure out what the hell he's singing about. And is it basically about some fucking guy who's just fucking stoned off his ass watching TV?
Probably.
Because there's a line that says, "I'm gonna miss them when the series ends."
Well, the serial killer had to go off somehow, and it's probably just sitting around doing too much drugs.
Yeah,
When the series ends, he's going to miss them. He's probably like going to get caught.
I see.
Yeah, you can see that.
That's a good point.
I didn't hear the lyrics until you said it just now, but I mean,
well, the prodigal it's someone who leaves and now
then
he
returns.
Yeah,
Prodigal son.
yes.
yeah, like maybe he left home to go kill some people. The series is over, so I'm going to go home now and go to jail. Because he's from jail originally.
Yeah.
It's from jail.
Hey, where you from? "Oh, I'm from jail."
I was born here. That's why, because I still live here.
You know what's it? I didn't
I
realize.
can come and go as I please, though.
Well, that's like I didn't realize
unusual.
how much of Charles Manson's life he spent in prison. There was only a couple years he wasn't in prison.
Pretty much.
yeah, yeah, and it's
It's like
amazing.
when he was 6.
And he never actually killed anyone either. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing. Like he just spent his time like trying to like make music and eat pussy. Like that was his life, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like that's all you spend your free time trying to do.
I love the last podcast episode where he talks about he goes down into Mexico and he ends up hanging out with some like natives down there and he gives them a gun and they shoot him in the stomach. And he just looks up at them and smiles. And they're like, "Oh, you crazy white man. You do mushrooms with us now."
God.
It's quite the rite of passage.
Yeah. All right, let's rate it.
Comparable.
Oh, comparable. I thought we'd swap those for some reason. All right, comparable.
Comparable album. Mine is especially tying into Blackest Eyes. The switching between the riff and then the kind of like Beatles-esque pop throughout reminded me a lot of Diorama by Silverchair, which is an album that came out the same year as this. It's the one that
You gave it to me.
I did. What did you think of it?
I haven't listened yet.
Of course you didn't. I just gave it to you at Christmas. That's fine. No, it was the one that Dave Bottrell produced. He's the guy who did Anima and Lateralus.
Yeah.
And he did some really cool shit with them. And that was when Daniel Johns from Silverchair was like, he wasn't, I think he was like coming down from a bit of like mental illness and like anorexia and things like that. And he started doing this really fucking weird, like it was almost like listening to like fairy tales, where like the music was like very riff driven. And then it would go into these like sections with woodwinds and shit like that. It was fucking over the top. But it's a really fucking good album. And this reminded me a lot of it. And they came out the same year.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. I got to check that out.
Oh yeah, it's a great album.
Nathan.
From a sound point, I don't really know to go with that, but just from my own experience and how things, I immediately think of Vapor Trails by Rush, only because Rush, Vapor Trails, that was my introduction to prog rock as it exists. Probably a little bit on the heavier side for them, as it is anyway from some of the stuff they'd been doing previously. I know that was a kind of a similar thing with what happened with these guys, going from Lightbulb Sun to In Absentia, but this just opened a whole new realm of prog rock for me in much the same way that I had that initial introduction from them. Still some good things going on both sides, but obviously there'd be a whole different discussion there.
Yeah.
Vapor Trails, that's the one where Pert lost his family before it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been meaning to listen to that just because I don't know, like I don't know if it's morbid or whatever, but I just kind of want to hear how like someone parses that.
Yeah.
Underrated album. Ghost Rider is probably going to be the most relevant to that experience. He just like hopped on his bike and rode across the freaking country.
Yeah.
But
It's
what is
better
it,
than Test for Echo, I think.
Yeah.
Much better.
Peaceable
than that one.
Kingdom for me is going to be the outlier on that one. That's a fantastic track. A lot of mentions of the tarot, which is kind of cool. I just love how they incorporate that. But again, different discussion for a different day.
Yeah.
My comparable album is going to be kind of in the same vein as Nathan. While I was when I first got into this album, I was dabbling in the Dream Theaters and
Meme theater.
meme theater, and I'm actually going to go with Liquid Tension Experiment 2.
Yes.
Oh, the one that I know.
The one that you know, Patrick. The
Thanks.
supergroup project with Mike Portnoy, Jason Bertucci, Tony Levin, and Jordan Rudess.
John Bertucci.
Yes.
What did I say?
You said Jason Bertucci.
Wow, I suck.
John
all good.
Pepperoni.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By
my brother
accident, when
John's
the water breaks, those are...
my brother John's a good
ridiculous
guitar
facts.
player, but I got my own thing going on. It's called the Jason Petrucci Band,
Yeah.
He might have a brother named Jason for all
and he
we
might
know.
have a band. It might be good.
We had a good lead
Acid
singer.
Rain, another phenomenal track.
Either that,
yeah.
or he's an incel like all of our fucking listeners.
Sadly, I wouldn't know who Tony Levin was if it weren't for that supergroup there.
Yeah.
Now I am
Actually,
more
true
familiar
for
with who
me,
he is,
too.
but still, like that whole project was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I got it like the same day that I got Scenes from a Memory because they came out like roughly around the same
Yeah.
time.
That was a hell of an album.
That's
as
a
well.
great album too. Fucking nerd alert! All right, Patrick, comparable album.
Comparable album. So, I actually am gonna go with an album that just kind of had like similar themes of accessibility and prog rock over the topness, and I do think that this Porcupine Tree record was definitely better. But I'm gonna go with Muse's Absolution, which is my favorite record of theirs, and giving them credit where it's due. There is like a fair amount of like kind of more accessible songs paired up with like the proggier numbers. That's kind of just where my head was at. I don't have a lot of context with Porcupine Tree because this, like I said, this is the first record of theirs I've listened to.
It's a good way to start, though.
Yeah. So
And what a couple of tracks off of that album?
Absolution.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. It's
Time is running out. Stockholm Syndrome.
Oh yeah, Stockholm Syndrome. Your time is running out. It's one that came out in like 2004.
Did that have a stereo on it?
Yeah.
Hysteria, yep.
Yeah, it was the first one of theirs that had like a bunch of successful singles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's rate it. Christopher.
All right, so I've been running a lot of numbers in my head on this one because
You had like a calculator, you like one of those desk fucking.
yeah, I've been running the numbers, and this one's complicated for me because, like I said, the last side of this I fucking loved. I thought was like one of the best things we've listened to on this show.
Wow.
Yeah, the last side, those last 3 songs.
Patrick's like, fuck you, man.
Those last 3 songs, though, and that's a quarter of this album. The rest of it, I probably would have given like a 7, and I would have given those last 3 probably like a 9. But because it fucking the creator has a master tape on it, I'm gonna have to ding it a
just
point.
drags it down.
Yeah, so I would have given it an 8, but I'm gonna have to give it a 7.
That's great, though. You know, I've been holding off on doing this record for a long time because you guys all make fun of me for worshiping the ground that Steven Wilson walks on. So it's
Despite never hearing anything by them.
That's better than I expected. So thank you.
He's not worthy of worship, but he is worthy of praise.
Yeah, that's
He's worthy
fair.
of a pat on the back, which I tried to give him, and he was pissed
Yeah,
about.
don't do that again.
what I will say is that last part of it was probably the least proggy sounding part to it for me personally.
Right.
Strip the Soul was kind of teetering dangerously there, but then again, so was a lot of the stuff on the Fragile, and that's kind of what my frame of reference when I was listening to it. So, yeah, I'm cool with it. 7.
Nate.
9. This album's phenomenal. I don't know if I necessarily consider this my top album off of these guys. It's really hard to pick between this and Deadwing because Deadwing is another really strong showing just from start to finish. And then of course comparing to like Nil Recurring, but that's an EP. It's a little bit different going on there. But I still don't hate Creator Has a Master Tape. I've learned to appreciate it a little bit more. Heart Attack on a Lay-By is still a little bit of a tricky one for me, but there is some serious emotional tension going on that one. That's kind of what makes it a tough listen, since you're kind of just what's going on through this guy's head as he's dying in his car effectively. You know, it kind of does something there. But no, this is just phenomenal work as far as I'm concerned, and it was really the thing that threw me headlong into prog. So I kind of am a little bit biased in that sense, I suppose.
Yeah. It gets a 10 from me. This is one of my. This is gonna be one of my top. Top
Now I look like an ass giving it a
5.
9.
No. I mean, this is as far as like my drumming style. Like, if you listen to the way I play drums, you hear fucking Neil Peart, you hear Mike Portnoy, and you hear
Harrison.
fucking Gavin Harrison.
Yep, that is definitely a
heard
style worthy of emulation.
There was one riff in particular that I heard that I'm like, I've heard Jim
You've heard Jim do that.
Yep.
It's like it was like a little triplet bass thing. It was like, and I saw you fucking play along to it. And I was like, he's fucking practiced this.
Yeah.
I feel like your ride work comes from Peart and your hi-hat work comes from Harrison.
100%.
Yep.
Excellent.
A lot of my tom work comes from Gavin as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
with a Matt Cameron bass drum.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all. I should have them all sign the different parts of my drums that I am influenced most by. Actually, it's a Neil Peart ride. He's already got
his
name on it.
Yeah, have to pay that extra $500 for that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I'm sure that one's cheap.
Patrick.
I'm gonna give this a 7, and 7 with an asterisk. I think it has the potential to climb. I am going into this band completely blind, so to give an objective number was kind of tough for me.
Hard to quantify, yeah.
Hard to quantify, I guess, because I don't have a lot of context with the rest of this guy's catalog.
There's a lot too.
There's a lot to it, and I think the record sounded amazing, production wise. Everything was everything just sounds really very pleasing and very well placed, and I noticed that there was just a lot of care taken with guitar effects and things that would come in, and I almost think that it's to the detriment of them, if that makes any sense. I kind of wanted a little more danger, I guess, and there were moments that was happening, but then there are other moments where I felt like it was just a little too safe, and I wasn't really holding my attention enough. But I think it improved with the second listen, so I'm gonna give it a 7. I enjoyed every track. I didn't hate really any moment on it. I liked it.
So that gives us an 8.25.
It's fair. Now I'm
I think it's great how we always like come out to these like aggregated scores, and whoever's hosting and picks the album is always begrudgingly at the end like, yeah, that's fair.
well, so I'm gonna ask the
But
two
I
of
think
you.
realistically, to a civilian, I think that is a very fair score for this album. For someone who's not like huge into prog or something like that, I think that's a really fair score.
So now I'm gonna ask the two of you, Christopher, Patrick. Will you stop making fun of me now and maybe dive a little deeper into the catalog?
I'm not going to make fun of you.
Christopher's not
You're
saying it.
you're asking me to stop making fun of you? Go fuck yourself.
No, all right, fine, fair enough.
And to be fair, I didn't give you a lot of shit for Steven Wilson. I just would always say like, oh god, I'm gonna fucking not like this album.
No, you've definitely given me shit about being up Steven Wilson's ass.
Well, yeah, because you're kind of comically up his ass.
Only
true.
comically, though. It hasn't gotten to any like weird point yet.
Yeah, like
It's funny. At this point.
It's not at a point where like we should probably be contacting authorities, and this episode would be considered legal, admissible evidence.
to call the cops on my friend. He stuck up another man's ass.
hey, officer,
That'd be a weird phone
ask you
call.
to download an episode of this podcast.
Well, that was like wasn't that like an episode of one of those like top 10 like craziest moments or something? Like there was like some guy who got his dick stuck in like the filter of the hot tub.
Was it hosted by that former cop guy who does like the world's deadliest police chases? And we'll see what happens when this scumbag gets pulled over by the police. You know that guy I'm talking about?
Yeah,
right?
you sound like John Mulaney doing an impression of that guy.
Cool. Whatever.
There was a
This is what happens when you try to run from the law. That guy.
There's this one time I decided to look up on Wikipedia like shows that have had the shortest airtime, like shows that have like lasted the shortest on
like
air.
one episode and
like
canceled.
one episode and it got canceled. And one of them was there was an Australian like one of those types of shows. I don't know what you would call them. Like video.
Jesus Christ, Patrick. It was Steve Irwin and he's dead now, all right? Show a little respect.
Oh no, it wasn't
He's Australian.
Steve Irwin. If it was, then he should be ashamed of himself. No, I'm trying to remember the name of the show. It was like sexiest animal moments.
Oh,
Something
no.
like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
But basically, so this is in Australia, and it was like America's Funniest Home Videos, but it took place in Australia, and it was like one of the videos that they showed was like a little girl jerking off a kangaroo. And they had to like.
I have to assume this was on like a Murdoch network.
Someone like from like an executive from the fucking station called the like TV company in the middle.
Pull
It
the
was like,
plug.
pull the fucking plug right now.
So
Turn this shit off right now.
So
it was
it's got pulled
canceled.
during?
It got pulled during the fucking
That's
show.
impressive because my first thought of short-lived series was the Geico Cavemen,
Oh yeah,
which was an atrocity. I'm surprised it went for as many episodes as it did.
No, we're talking like it was like halfway through the showing of this episode. They like put on a like Charles in Charge rerun or something
dear.
like that.
Yeah,
Charles in Charge.
Yeah, and Clark's beat Cavemen, I know, because that was only 2 episodes on the air. And that was great because the second episode of that show was the clips episode, where they kept showing the same clip from the first episode. Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. That about does it for this program. Do you guys have anything you want to plug? Nathan, do you have anything you want to plug?
No, not really.
Okay. Christopher?
Nah, I'm good. Just check out the other shows on the Zero Science Network. Actually, we have a new one. We'll have a new one by the time that this airs. It's called Clamshell Case Files, and it's
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's 3 young upstarts, occasionally with guests, who discuss films that they rented as children, hence Clamshell Case Files. And all these films have one thing in common. They either traumatized or inspired them as children, and they examined them as adults.
It's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, no, it's a really enjoyable show, and if you're kind of like a pop culture junkie like I am, you'll really enjoy it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Patrick?
I got nothing.
Yeah, we would have already played the show by now.
Oh yeah, we're already dead.
We're already dead. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
Coming on
Thanks,
this.
man. This is a hoot.
Being a Porkie Pal with us.
Yay.
Porkie Pals. that's a lot
Porkie
of fun.
Pals.
We should get shirts made.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
Yeah,
I'll get him done up.
I'm sure you do know
Tom Shirtman.
at least one. Tom Shirtman.
That's like Mr. Chapman there who makes the Chapman sticks.
Yes,
Emmett Chapman. That is his name, yes.
Mark David Chapman, yeah. He makes him in jail. Really turned his life around.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I don't know. Fucking Disciplined by King Crimson came out in 1981. Fucking Lennon was shot in 1980.
All right.
There's a connection there.
Yeah, it's all related.
It's all related.
Clearly.
All right. I'm Jim.
I'm Christopher.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Nate.
And we'll see you in hell.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, fuckos.
Zero Science.
Remember a time when the internet wasn't a cesspool? When Nickelback was not the lazy comedian's punchline? When The Last Jedi or Ghostbusters didn't ruin anyone's childhood? We do. Nickelbackin' is a monthly podcast hosted by three longtime friends who really just need an excuse to shoot the shit. But in the meantime, they'll call out some internet hyperbole bullshit while they're at it. Do you secretly enjoy the smooth taste of Dunkin' Donuts coffee? Maybe you're a fan of the work of Jim Carrey. Hell, maybe you even like Nickelback. We don't, but we're in their corner, and by default, we're in your corner too. Listen to Nickelbackin' on the Zero Science Network, wherever you download podcasts.
Having trouble starting your trimmer, chainsaw, or leaf blower? Say goodbye to those starting problems and improve your equipment's performance with True Fuel, the original ready-to-use fuel, available in 32 or 110-ounce cans. True Fuel is the ethanol-free, precision-engineered fuel that empowers your equipment to start strong and run great every time. Power through yard work with True Fuel, available at your local home and garden center today.